Well, what I had touched upon was a very systematic way to look at one of the leading concepts of theory of constraints, which is 5 focusing steps, and to see how we can take identify the constraint, decide how to exploit the constraint, subordinate everything, and elevate the constraint into the framework of the marketing initiatives, and deciding and understanding how we can create the decisive competitive edge for our company and how we can move on. So generally, if we're speaking about the decisive competitive edge, and we're speaking about the solutions, we're speaking about market penetration or product development or product market diversification, we're speaking already about the solution. The moment we start speaking about the solution, it means we should be implementing it. We'll speak a little bit later about the challenges of implementation and of how to bring in people to work with you on what you think is good for the system. But the moment we start the implementation, actually, even before that, when we start offering something new, we may come into something that is widely known as the resistance, or resistance to change. So TOC has its own approach. There are 6 layers of resistance. We will look at them right now. And just what I want to talk about, just in these 30 minutes, is how we can use the central TOC tools, logical tools, in order to work with the layers of resistance. That's about me. So the key message is, if you meet resistance, it means that you have already offered the other side your solution. The other side could be whoever, your peers, your boss, your subordinates, but they must know already what you want to offer, and they don't agree. This is when we start referring to the resistance. So when does resistance happen? When you try to persuade the other side to accept your idea of change, which means no actions are taken yet. You only have an idea, and you try to persuade them that it's good and they should take it. You try to get an agreement of your boss, subordinates, peers, or your client, if we are speaking about consultants. In other words, you try to persuade people that the system must change some of the ways how the system operates now. The other area when we meet resistance, and the other point in time, is when you start implementing change. By the way, what it means that there was a decision made to implement change already. Correct? Otherwise, you can't start implementing it. And so after the decision has been made to change the way of current operations. So now this is a very interesting subject, which I'm going to touch upon now. When actions or words are directed towards us, for all particular reasons, we want to understand what is the person trying to make us do. When we speak about any change, look, just to be very precise, if I come and offer you something, I already know that it's good for me. Makes sense, right? Now look, I will not be coming to you with a suggestion of change that will be bad for me. Makes sense, right? Which means I know it's good for me. Another point. If I come to you and I ask you to participate with me in the change, it means that I, on my own, cannot implement what is good for me. Or I have other better things to do. Make sense? Now, in effect, I come to you and I ask you to put your time, effort, energy to do something good for me. Make sense? Guys, I come and I ask you for a favor because I already know that it's good for me, but you still do not know that it's good for you. And now I ask you to spend your time, money, effort, thinking, emotions on making my life greater. So what is happening? Even if you don't think in these terms, and even if the people with whom we come to and we offer the change don't think in these terms consciously, subconsciously they know very well that if I come and I offer them something, I want something from them. What will they do? They will assess whether it's good for them or not. So, in other words, consciously or subconsciously, we are trying to understand what was the purpose of what was said or done to us. Generally, any action or words that is addressed to us, what we do, we assess. We're trying to find out what was the purpose of the other person, and we are trying to check, we're checking, is it good for me or not? It's surprising how often people have no clear understanding for themselves about what was the purpose or what they themselves have said or done. Sometimes you ask a person, why did you say that? Have you ever heard that a person sincerely answers, I don't know? Why did you do that? A very sincere answer, I don't know. So, some important questions concerning the resistance to change. Do we always realize that because we live in society, whatever we say is actually directed to other people as a request or instruction for their action? If you look at me right now, some of you smiled, nobody waved, some of you nodded, some of you showed to me, okay, we understand that you're trying to get something from us, but actually what do you want from us? But quite a lot of you responded. Because these words, I was trying to make you do something, correct? And I was friendly, I was smiling. That's why many of you smiled back. What I did, with my action, I was trying to elicit the response, correct? With the purpose, what was my purpose? It could have been whatever, to attract attention or to ensure that you're listening or to try to make my point clear, but I did something and you responded. So this is a very important thing to realize. Do we always check that the other party will perceive our request or instruction as good and beneficial for them? Those of you who didn't smile back and didn't wave to me, meant you didn't see any point of smiling back. You didn't see how it will be beneficial for you, that you will put your energy right now in the smile. Do we ourselves check that our request or instruction will be good and beneficial for them? Do we? Do we do our homework to help them see that it will be good and beneficial? Because if they do not see our request or instruction as good and beneficial for themselves, we have a very little chance of getting what we want. So before the decision is made, generally, just this is a picture that we see. A change initiator, his level of enthusiasm, mood, and emotions about the suggested change is very high. Otherwise, he wouldn't be offering that, right? Now there are the people the change initiator wants to persuade that the change is good and needed. And quite often what is happening, there will be a gap. Their mood and enthusiasm and emotions will be here. So they listen to us, they hear that, they think, and then this is resistance to change. They run away with no. So, well, when we're speaking about the change implementation, it's actually, well, the behavior of people and the feeling and the enthusiasm and the support is not that much from culture shock when a person is being relocated to a different culture. So first it starts at a very high level, so it's the honeymoon phase, then it drops down, it's a crisis phase, it starts recovering, hopefully it gets out of the deep, it's recovery, and then independence when the person is able to operate independently just in the new culture, in the new environment. Actually, a new change, a new thing, a new way of operations is usually quite a severe cultural change from the point of view of the managing the organization and how the organization operates. So just the honeymoon phase, high enthusiasm, looking forward to the new experience, high energy, difference to the home culture are viewed as exciting and intriguing, self-confidence, high willingness to learn and develop new things. The moment this is here, the moment the reality starts bringing in unexpected or unforeseen difficulties. So just the mood changes. And what we see, a crisis phase after a few days or weeks, feeling confused and insecure, feeling lack of control. They are the main things here while bring people to crisis. People feel insecure because they do not have full control over the situation. So in the recovering phase, having worked out how to work in your environment, feeling more in control. And independence phase, confident about handling most or all situations. So what is the meaning of making the change easy, quick, and painless? Generally, we want to lift this deep down curve. It will happen anyway, but we want to make it like this. So now, when we're speaking about overcoming 6 layers of resistance, just we have to keep this picture in mind, and these are the layers of the resistance, what our mind, what our brain is automatically doing, even though we're not conscious about that. So if we proceed from understanding that any solution is the answer to the problem, is in order to remove the problem, then if for me to accept the solution, I must first assess the problem. Is it my problem or not my problem? How often do we hear from people, that's not my problem, don't talk to me, that's your problem. The moment we say that's your problem, that's the end of the conversation, correct? People don't agree with the problem, why they should be helping me sort out their problem. So if they agree on the problem, then they want to assess the solution, direction of the solution. They may agree on the problem, but they say, you offer that and I offer this approach, and my approach is better. This is disagreement on the direction of the solution. Disagreement that the solution will bring the desired benefits. It's like, okay, I agree there's a problem. I agree this direction might work, but, well, is it worth putting the effort, my effort, into sorting it out your way? Will it really give the benefits that you promised there will be there? So when these three are covered, when people agree with all these three elements, they agree with the problem, with the direction of the solution, that the solution will bring the benefits, then there is we say that the person agrees with the solution, kind of bought in the solution. And then the next stage comes, people start saying yes, but, and they are of two categories. Yes, but I see some negative consequences for me. And yes, but I see that there are obstacles. And first what we assess negative consequences, because we will not be thinking how to implement and looking for the obstacles in implementation if we know that together with the good that I already agreed to, on layer 3 I already agreed that the solution will be good. We will not be checking for obstacles before we check that there will be nothing bad that will come as the byproduct of this solution. Well, this is actually the side effects of a medicine. This is a medicine. It shall relieve the pain that you have. And this is the side effect that may happen after relieving the pain. Also something bad will happen. So then our mind first checks the risks, and only when we are sure that there will be nothing bad for me and for those close to me, that then I will start checking whether there are obstacles, whether I know how to implement. And the sixth is, well, when people say yes and do nothing. So generally, well, it is just said that maybe something was missed here. In my experience, while I mostly meet that people are on the 4th layer of resistance, they see negative consequences for themselves, but will not say that because the solution stops them from abusing the system. So they cannot say openly that we cannot use the system to our benefit that much as we used to do before. So that's why they say yes, yes, but do nothing. Anyway, what are the tools that we use in order to work with these layers of resistance? The moment we say the word problem, we know that the major tool in TRC is the cloud. So a problem is a cloud. Any problem should be able to be put into the cloud. If we're speaking about the current problem, if we're speaking about the foreseen future problem, then it's a negative branch reservation, where it's a different logical structure. Jürgen showed that when we're speaking about the future. Here is now. It's a problem. It's the current reality. So, and a problem is always when we find ourselves in the situation when there are two conflicting ones, two conflicting desires, two conflicting tactics, two conflicting modes of behavior. On one hand, on the other hand, that's a cloud. They want that, I want this. That's a cloud. We were supposed to achieve 30 million in sales, we have only 22. That's a cloud. Every time when you find yourself in the situation that is different from the desirable situation, well, in TRC we call it a problem, and we apply a cloud. And this difference is recorded here. Sometimes this is what you want to do, and this is what you're forced to do. Sometimes this is what you do some of the time as a system, and this is what you do other time as a system. Sometimes they want that, I want this. But this is how we're recording one of the two conflicting actions here, and the other one is coming here. And conflicting doesn't mean the quarrel or the row or yelling at each other or not speaking to each other. It means two actions cannot be performed at the same time. It is impossible. This says that they cannot be performed at the same time. So, and then, well, in order to be able to solve the problem, to solve this conflict, we need to understand what is forcing us to want or to feel that we are forced to do this one and this one. So, and then just while we are checking through cause and effect, that this becomes the perceived necessary condition to achieve something, to achieve this need. This is our perceived necessary condition to achieve that need. Those two needs are in order to achieve the common objective. So this is, and because this is the necessary condition for that, and this is the necessary condition for this, these two are necessary condition for that. If we're not achieving one of them, we cannot achieve that. But this is what we want to achieve. So generally what is happening, the brain gets completely blocked because I'm telling the brain, I need that and that, but to do that I need this, but if I do this, I get this, but kill that. If I do this, I get this, but I kill that. I cannot take either of the actions, because by taking either of the actions, I'm killing one of the necessary conditions, and I'm not achieving my goal. The brain says, what do you want from me? You give me two exclusive commands. You know what? Leave me alone. Decide yourself. That's why we are calling something a problem. A problem is when we do not know the solution. So, but generally, what we see, and what we see in the reality, that people are coming to us with solutions. They come to us already with the suggestions. Look, if the solution is worked out through the cloud, it's good, because we started with a problem, we analyzed it, we developed the solution, great. But in most cases, the solutions come without any cloud. People come to us and they say, we have a suggestion. Suggested solution, let's expand to new markets. Actually, we didn't agree with Ed about the content of just what he was going to present and what I am going to present, but this is just very good. Just it is now linked to what Ed was saying. Let's expand to new markets, great. If this is a solution, then what is the problem? Now, when we're speaking about developing a solution is not the same as to make a decision. Developing a solution is a long process, which consists of 7 steps. And the first part of the process is to define the problem. How to understand that we have a problem? Is it an underlying problem or only its symptom? How to formulate the problem? Is it a real problem? So, and there are the answers of TRC. The difference between what we have and what we would like to have is the identification of the problem, and is a trigger to start using TRC thinking tools. Well, the difference between a problematic situation, symptom, and nudis, and the core cause of their existence. In TRC, we say that when you see something and it's on the surface, it might only be a symptom. Look for a deeper cause. Then how to formulate the problem. In TOC, we're using the cloud, and I just showed it right now, that we're saying if it's a problem, there must be a conflict between two incompatible behaviors. And then we want to check that the cloud causes the UDI symptoms or explains the essence of the problem. We want to make sure that we are dealing with a real issue. So these are the 4 elements that we use in order to be able to work with layer 1, disagreeing on the problem. So now, how to understand that we have a problem? Step 1, let's if we're speaking about the suggested solution. We need to, so the answer, how to understand that we have a problem? There must be a difference between what we have and what we would like to have. Do we have the evidence or justification in our system from our measurements that we have a problem that will be solved with expanding to new markets? What we will be checking in the measurements. Now, if that was a solution, let's expand to new markets, solution to a problem. If there is a problem, and the problem is about markets, there must be something in our measurements that will signal that there is a problem. Otherwise, how do we know that there is a problem at all? We will be checking what? The trend in annual and quarterly sales. Agree? The trend in annual profit. The trend in the market share. Now, let's see, this is what we have found. We have checked that. We're checking the measurements. That's the starting point. Now we found that the trend in annual and quarterly sales, down. Trend in an annual profit, down. Trend in the market share, down. Okay. So at least we know that it is justified. Thinking about new markets is justified. Is it an underlying problem or only its symptom? What do? We are trying right now to build the logical connection because of what we have found. Our market share has decreased from 2. This leads to our sales have decreased from 2. This is what we already have discovered, right? A moment before. Now we're putting them in logical structure. This leads to our annual profit has decreased from 2. But this is possible, this link, our sales decreased and our annual profit has decreased, is possible only if our operating expense did not decrease to maintain the same profit as before. Operating expense did not decrease because our sales have decreased, operating expense decreased, let's say the same, the profit will stay the same. Do you agree? There are specific conditions on which one leads to the other one, and we need to understand them. What's the common cause? This is step 2. Step 3, how to formulate the problem. We formulate the problem in a cloud. Every system problem can be presented as a conflict between 2 behavior we consistently see in the system. So we should be able to formulate that. If we're unable to demonstrate how the problem is manifested in the system behavior conflict, it means we do not have the justification for announcing something a problem. Now let's see. Identified problem. Our market share has decreased from 2. If this is the solution and the problem is it's the solution to that problem, then this problem must have signals in the reality. And the signals will be in the behavior of our system. Accept client's request or demand to decrease the price, or reject client's request or demand to decrease the price. Do you agree that one of the conflicts that will be clearly shouting about this problem is that? Correct? Will we see that in a system, this behavior in the system that is losing its market share? Talk to salespeople. They say we are forced to agree to the lower price because otherwise our client will go somewhere else. Make sense? Why would they worry about the client going somewhere else if they wouldn't be concerned with the market share? Make sense? Or spend more money on advertising, spend less money on advertising. Have you seen companies that when they sense that their market share goes down, desperately try to bring their clients back and pour money into advertising? Or put people to do work on Facebook? Or give people, posters, and the people are running in the streets with the posters? Which is spend more money, but then when they come to the point that their efforts don't yield anything, what is happening? They say, stop, no advertising budget for next month. Does it sound familiar? Guys, yes or no? Okay. Or another one, increase number of promotions, or do not increase number of promotions. You know what? There were blessed times 15 years ago when we had the sale before Christmas, after Christmas, and then maybe one more somewhere in the summer. And then we were waiting for the sale. I do not know about you. I'm not excited about any sale in the women's clothes department anymore, because the moment that one finishes, a week after the next one starts. Mid of the season sale, old collection sale, St. Valentine's Day sale, Women's Day sale. So practically what is happening, now the whole industry is working on promotions. But then just they come to the point, they say that's enough. Enough is enough. We cannot increase the number of promotions. But then they say, no, we must increase the number of promotions because our competitors do that and we keep on losing our market share. So now, this was the conflict, but now let's see how we can sort it out with the cloud. In order to accept clients' request demand to decrease the price to achieve what? To achieve avoid losing the order or the client. Reject client's request or demand to decrease price. To achieve what? To ensure the target markup. Avoid losing the order of the client and ensure the target markup. To achieve what? Secure getting profits. And now we are locked. The moment we accept the client's request demand to decrease the price, we will avoid losing the order, but we will kill the target markup. The moment we reject the client demands in order to ensure the target markup with the one who will buy, not to spoil the market, we will avoid losing the ordering client. One way or the other, we cannot get we cannot secure target profits. So here is the conflict. So just where we're checking the logic. The main thing is that D endangers C and D prime endangers B. That's why we are in this conflict. And the moment we get an agreement on that this is our situation, the door is open to start developing the solution. So this is the layer 1. I'll take 3 minutes more. Is that okay? 2 minutes more.
3 is okay.
3 is okay, good. So developing a solution has 3 more steps. How to look for a solution. Does the solution remove the problem? And how to check that the solution will not bring you problems. So here we must understand the assumptions that cause the conflict to exist. Here we're checking that the injection, our solution, will be satisfying B and C. Right now our conflict kills either C or B, and we cannot get A. We need something that will lead to achieving both necessary conditions to achieve our A. And then we check that there will be no negative outcomes. And if we find them, we trim them. So this is what we do. This is all the work that we have to do to help people agree with pass successfully layer 2 and layer 3. Layer 2 will be, so they already, with the previous slide, they already agree on a problem, this one. They agree that that's a problem. Here, when they are here, we are helping them understand why the problem exists, or we understand that, and we develop the solution. This can be developed through that, and actually with the cloud only through that. We challenge that, and we find which of our assumptions are wrong, and we develop the injection. This is what? This B and C is what? Is layer 2 and layer 3. This is a correct solution, this layer 2, and this solution will bring us benefits in ability to achieve both needs and achieve our goal. This is layer 3, and this is, okay, and interesting. Fine. No problem. And this is, no, it's interesting that it's already changed here, but it's got stuck on the...
Additional minute.
Well, thank you. That was generous.
Okay, try now. Does it work now?
Okay, now? Yes, thank you very much. Okay, and this is layer 4. So, generally, why this conflict in place, why are we stuck on it? Just, well, the material that you will get, it will show to you what are the assumptions because of which this conflict exists. In order to remove the conflict, well, we need to work with those assumptions. And the major here element that I wanted to say is that we need to do that. This must be substituted by injection, expand to new markets. But before we start doing this work and before we accept that expand to new markets is the solution, what we must do. If we expand to new markets, will we avoid losing orders clients in the new market and ensure the target markup? Do we check that? This we have now. This is what we have now. Now we have this now. And this exists because in order to avoid losing the order of a client, I must accept client's request and demand to decrease the price because the client believes that we are able to give them the desired price. And the client can buy this or alternative product at the desired price somewhere else. Now, our idea was, it all started with that, expand to new markets. The main thing is here. There were assumptions based on which the whole conflict was in place. To justify the suggested solution, expand to new markets, and not to get into the same conflict in the new markets, we need to check that these assumptions will be invalid in the new market. These assumptions will be invalid in the new market. Will they be invalid? Will the clients perceive our prices as desired in the new market? Will we be only provider of these products, or they will be able to buy alternative products? In other words, if in the new markets there will be no competitors to which clients can turn for the same or similar products to the ones that we will sell. If your answers to these questions are no or we don't know, your suggested solution, expand to new markets, is not justified. So this is in which way we are using the TOC thinking processes and the TOC tools. And for every step on this, just out of these 7 elements, we use the same detailed work. So it's interesting, it's fascinating, and it works. Thank you very much.